Need to talk about the future of the Federal Reserve as well. Kevin Warsh making an appearance on the JPMorgan call with Jamie Dimon. Not literally, but his name was mentioned. Dani Berger was tracking that. Dani joins us now. Hey, Dani.
Hey, John. I have to say, it was extremely brief, Jamie Dimon's comments around this. Basically, a journalist asked, Mr. Dimon, how do you feel about delays to the nomination of Kevin Warsh? And I have to say, this question was asked right before Punchbowl reporting the impending maybe process coming forward. And Jamie Dimon said simply, Kevin, I guess they're on a first-name basis, Kevin is a great candidate. The sooner, the better. And then he ended it there. He also goes on to talk a lot about economic confidence he has despite the war and despite some of the uncertainty going forward, but a very confident Jamie Dimon on the economy and basically just saying, yep, Kevin Warsh, he'd be great, and the sooner the better.
Dani Berger with the latest. Dani, thank you. Looking forward to the programme alongside Matt Miller, kicking off in about 20 minutes' time. It makes the question around Chairman Powell's future, I think, all the more important. I've raised this question over the last month or so since the last meeting with the chairman, when he refused to say that he would leave even if the investigations went away, and even if we had a new chair appointed, he wouldn't rule out staying on as a governor of the board. He seems to be worried about central bank independence, which is curious because so many establishment figures back Kevin Warsh to lead this Federal Reserve.
There's some speculation that Fed Chair Jay Powell was trying to take back a little bit of control or at least push back from what the White House is doing. Whether he will come clear with respect to what he's going to do if Kevin Warsh is nominated remains to be seen. Right now, markets have been incredibly sanguine about the future of the Fed. It's sort of a parlor game for us and for analysts to talk about what this could look like and the lack of certainty. But the conviction in markets that this Fed will anchor inflation, I can't get over that. The fact that that has persisted, even with all of this drama, even with the questions of the politicization of the Federal Reserve, is what I keep coming back to. So I agree with you. I think that there are some real questions here. The market implications, though, I'm not seeing it, which I think is interesting.
What was so interesting about when Jay Powell did that at the podium was that he wasn't actually even asked about that question specifically. It was third on his list. He didn't even need to go there, but felt the need to say that as almost to the White House, I still hold this card. Remember, he is still being investigated in the Federal Reserve by the DOJ. And I think that was a reminder to the White House, I could still make this complicated.
An update from Punchbowl News. I mentioned it earlier. If you're just joining us, this on Kevin Warsh's confirmation hearing for Federal Reserve Chair will be next Tuesday, April 21. That according to sources with knowledge of the plans. That's according to their reporting. The Senate Banking Committee is planning to notice the hearing later on today with just a month or so left of Chairman Powell's term. Stephanie, inflation expectations. Bank of America had this note this morning, and I thought the headline was catchy, that tankers are anchored and inflation expectations are too. It's a curious moment, isn't it, that inflation expectations have been so well anchored. What's behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of an expectation that it's not just about one person on the FOMC, and they have proven that they are focused on keeping inflation anchored. And it's been an FOMC over the past couple of years that has been very willing to hike rates in the face of the elevated inflation, and it's not just up to one person's view. And what we've seen so far is an energy shock that ultimately could hurt demand. It's different from where we were in 2022 when inflation expectations started to show signs of potentially becoming unanchored, because today the economy is not the same as it was. Back then, payrolls were running at 600,000. Today, they're, call it 50, 60. Unemployment rate was low and headed lower. Now it's up with, some upward pressure from AI. It's just a very different economic environment. And I genuinely believe if we were to see an oil shock that's more significant than this, we would start to see demand destruction, and the Fed will ultimately be easing as opposed to having to hike.
Based on this reporting, this hearing will take place a week today. What is the argument that Kevin Warsh can make for lowering interest rates at the Federal Reserve? Given everything you've just said, what do you think the argument will be that he'll present?
I think it's going to be all about productivity and AI, and a backdrop where AI is disinflationary, and ultimately that will mean neutral rates are lower in the medium term. And that was the view that the market had held before the Iran shock really hit. And it's his sort of best argument, especially in the face of where inflation is today, where the economy is, and the sort of the potential direction of travel. If you do really have a strong productivity cycle, you don't usually have inflation problems at the same time.